A very good afternoon to everyone. Good morning, good evening if you're going to watch this at some later point of time. I'd like to start off by dedicating this talk to my great-grandfather, Professor V. Lakshminarayan, who founded one of India's Institute of Eminence called as BITS Pilani, Birla Institute of Technology Science at Pilani, Rajasthan, and my grandfather who founded the Civil Engineering Department of IIT Madras. Also to my father who was a Chief Information Officer for NIT. The reason I'm dedicating it is not just to talk about them, but it covers the journey and of every single one of us here in our chests, the heart that beats, the algorithm which is powering every AI platform and software, and the very foundation of institutions like where we are standing today, the KIIT World School Youth. Artificial intelligence is showing that all of this is interconnected. I've had the privilege of training till date, not just 5,000, but the count has gone to 10,000 cardiac surgeons and cardiologists in the use of artificial intelligence. Harvard Business School talks about AI as not being just artificial intelligence. It talks about it being as augmented intelligence. And the augmentation comes from the spirit and the wisdom of a human being. Today, my talk is going to talk about a different kind of an AI, and that is Agentic AI and its application in healthcare, specifically cardiovascular surgery, cardiology, or what we call as cardiovascular sciences, which has led to the rise of something which is very interesting, which is called as roborides. Amidst this advent and this invasion of artificial intelligence in our life, the question is the human still in the loop? And when it comes to healthcare, is the doctor, is the surgeon, is the nurse, the pediatrician, the paramedic, are they all still relevant? I present to you the Algorithmic Heart, roborides, and doctor in the loop. Steve Jobs once famously said, technology is nothing, but what is important is to have faith in people. And if you find people who are good, who are smart, they will use technology as an enabler, as a tool, and they will do wonderful things with them. Perhaps it was with this intent, with this desire, that technologies of artificial intelligence began with what we call as expert systems way back in the 1950s. More recently, Elon Musk spoke about having a merger of the human intelligence along with that of the machine intelligence. And in a lighter note, he said, if you cannot win the machine, you better join them. The rise of agentic AI, agentic artificial intelligence. When I visit hospitals, when I meet doctors, I've had the privilege of witnessing thousands of cardiac procedures. I've been lucky to implement many of the latest and greatest technologies when it comes to artificial intelligence in the operating theater, not just in cardiac surgery, but also in other specialties. And people used to ask me, why do you wear two watches? So one watch which I wear shows the pulse of the time, pulse which reminds me of the life and the limited time that we all have. The other watch, which most of us in this room have, is a smartwatch, which is measuring possibly the most ancient symbol of what medicine stood for, the pulse of the heart. Since time immemorial, doctors used to measure the pulse of the heart to measure the life of a being. I present to you, for millennial, one pulse defined life, and today a new pulse is accelerating healthcare, and that is the algorithmic pulse. We are moving beyond simple diagnostics. It's no longer about X-rays, MRI scans, CT scans, but it is about agentic AI. And what is an agent? An agent is an autonomous piece of software or a system which can perceive, which can reason, and it can act not just as tools, but as aids to decision making, especially in a hospital or a healthcare provider system, as a decision making tool for the doctor. The rapid advent of AI forces us to confront a fundamental question which no longer is about science fiction, but a concrete reality. What is the ethical status What is the moral implication of the machine, like the smartwatch which many of you are wearing here, or the devices which are holding the life breath of patients in critical care units, ICU? What is the moral responsibility of that machine? 4 years back, I wrote a paper, an academic paper, with one of the pioneers of what is called as robo-rights. Assume this was my phone and I dropped it. Did my phone have a right to say that you could not drop me like that, or you dropped me too hard? Do inanimate objects feel sentinel? Do they have a conscience or do they have consciousness? David Gunkel and I explored the rise of robo-rights. As more and more large language models, ChatGPT, invade academic, professional, healthcare, and every industry in the world which we live in, the question which I pose before all of you: what rights do artificial intelligence have, especially when it comes to the context of healthcare? Robo-rights is the future, especially when more and more interoperable machines are occupying a hospital system. And the question is the doctor a user of artificial intelligence, or is doctor the intelligent agent? In Agentic AI in cardiology, systems are being used to measure, to predict, and I will show you this, pre-surgery, during surgery, and post-surgery. Today, you can create a complete 3D animated model of a human heart, not just of a human being, of a cow, of any animal which is to undergo an animal trial or a surgery, whatever the case may be, based on various inputs, multimodal inputs, which we call as EKI, CT scans. You can even predict with great accuracy the occurrence of a heart attack. During surgery, today we have machines from Da Vinci, Intuitive Surgicals. Right here in Delhi, we have a made in India indigenous human aided robot called as the SSI Mantra, which can with ultra precision, tremor free, do cardiac surgery to ultra precision. Post surgery, artificial intelligence and agentic AI can be used for follow-up, for reminding on medications, for reminding patients to take care of them, and also to predict the occurrence of acute, kidney disorders, which would usually happen in 24 hours if the surgery did not happen well. But today with agentic AI, you're able to predict this with great accuracy. In China, there was an experiment of 42 AI doctors, 21 departments, simulated on 10,000 virtual patients in just a few days. I'm happy to inform you that we are on the verge of doing something similar here in India, in our own organization, to create a similar agent hospital, which is completely agentic AI. Enter generative AI, large language models, ChatGPT, which all of us are using. While agentic handles the complex decision-making, complex procedures, and precision, conversational AI is bringing empathy at scale. It is helping in explaining diagnosis with compassion. And that is where the human or the surgeon or the doctor is in the loop, because he can convey the good or the bad, or the good bad news to the patient with compassion. AI is now turning to a virtual caretaker, to a virtual nurse, providing humans with unbelievable, unprecedented care. I've spoken about David Gunkel, but I want to highlight only one point of his, where he said that we have come to a point where we realize that R&D is not in touch with social consequences, and understanding of what it is going to do will make us all irresponsible users of artificial intelligence. But if AI is autonomous enough to decide on a surgical adjustment, will it be able to execute a moral choice? Who should be given priority in a robotic cardiac surgery? A 70-plus-year-old senior citizen or a 12-year-old boy? Can AI decide this today? Can artificial intelligence decide this today? How do you choose between two outcomes, low risk and high risk? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that AI is just now a reflection of the moral choices and the biases which we humans inherently have. At the end of my talk, I present to you an ongoing experiment which is running in millions across the world by the famous Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, called the moral machine, which has proven that morality is not prevalent everywhere, nor is it consistent. It is a simulation of the famous shopping trolley problem, where an electric car which is driverless has gone out of control. Whom should it hit? Should it hit pedestrians who are wandering the street unknowingly? Or should it go and hit the obstacle there so that people in the car are harmed. Does AI know this? It may sit in an electric car. We see things in infrared. We see that as pieces of flesh. We see pieces of moving objects of varying colors. Can artificial intelligence today interpret whom not to harm and whom to harm, especially when it goes out of control? What are the remits? What are the boundaries of artificial intelligence? The study revealed that in Western parts of the world, the focus was on avoiding the pedestrians because perhaps they were following rules. In the Eastern part, the emphasis was less on saving the lives of the young and senior citizens. Very sad. In Far East, the importance was given to the senior citizens. You see the longevity of life there. So it shows that morality is not universal. So how are we going to develop an one-size-all-fit AI moral fiber? The answer is here. Optimal patient care is at the intersection of artificial intelligence as the enabler and engine, and the doctor being the moral compass. And the next major frontier of artificial intelligence is not just augmented intelligence. It is authentic intelligence with the doctor and the human in the loop, where 90% of tasks perhaps would get automated, maybe even 99% in the next 2 to 3 decades. But then the doctor will be there for that 1% of things which go out of control, or when things need a moral dilemma to be solved. And that is where the doctor will continue to be relevant as the intelligence of the agent. I want to end by quoting the famous missile man of India, our honorable late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, former honorable president of India, who said that when you look at technology, ignition of young minds is what is the most powerful resource. It is not nuclear energy. And today we say data, AI is the new uranium, it is the new oil, it is the new everything. But as he famously quoted, it is the power of the ignited mind. And it is the power of the ignited mind with moral choices, with ethical dilemmas cleared, with fundamental human values addressed. So let us address the fundamental ignition of mind with this human value and life purpose to build artificial intelligence which is authentic, which is augmented, and not just agentic or artificial. And this is the best way to serve. Intelligence without humanity is computation. Robo-rights will become the future for protection of the boundaries. But let us remember that the future of healthcare is going to be an intersection. It's going to be a beautiful collaboration. Thank you for your time.